Thank you.
Okay, everyone. I have 6:30. Kurt, you're going to take over you're the gatekeeper now. Everyone,
Got
you must all know by now that we are recording this meeting. So just know that if you put your video on, everyone's going to see, because we will post this to our YouTube channel, where there's a Cory Neighborhood YouTube channel. All right, with that, um, the reason why we're doing this on Zoom is that I tried to reserve the cafeteria, and we got declined because the Facilitron people said that the cafeteria is under construction. So I sent an email to them saying, how long will this last? Because I told them we also have a meeting coming up in April, and I have yet to hear back from them. So that's why we are on Zoom tonight, because the cafeteria where we normally hold a meeting is under construction. Although I went by, I don't see any construction trucks, but maybe it's just minor construction. I don't know. Next, our sponsor is Lily Tomeo. If you had seen I don't know if you can see this. Nah, nope, it just blocks me out. Anyways, it's on the flyer. It's on the back. If you have any real estate needs, please consider Lily to help you. Last but not least, before we start the meeting, um, everyone remembers Scott Valley, right? He used to come to all our meetings. He used to be at Valley Fair Mall, and then he switched over, went to Santana Row. Well, Kirk and I had lunch with him a couple days back, and he told us that he is going to retire at the end of the month. So we will no longer be seeing Scott. He was going to try to make this meeting, but there was another meeting that popped up, and he said that I have to go to that meeting. So he's not going to be here tonight. I did send him the link, so maybe his meeting will get done earlier than ours, and he'll show up and say his final goodbyes. But if you see him, say, hey, it was nice having you work with us and all the help that you gave us. But again, at the end of January and the end of this month, he said he's going to retire. So that's too bad. He was a great guy. Really, really going to miss him. With that, we're going to go on to our meeting. Our first person.
Oh, hold on. Before they do that just yet, I just wanted
Okay.
to share this slide. This was last year's holiday showcase winners. So just so we know what the future competitions that we're going to be sharing later on in the program are going to be up against, this is what was there last year. Thanks, Art. That's it.
Okay. You need to look for either, I don't see, oh, there is Lynn Lee. Lynn Lee is going to be speaking for Michael Mulcahy. He's our council member. And Kirk, if you would allow Lynn Lee to unmute
I think,
herself
Len, you
and
should
take over the meeting.
see if you can
Lynn.
I
share. Can you?
I'm unmuted. I can't see myself though, so I don't know if you
We
can
see
see me
you.
or not. Okay, great.
Can
Yeah,
you
I'm
can you
happy to.
share your screen as it is? Does the share button show for you?
It does. I don't have any slides to share though.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so I just have some updates from the office. Thank you for having us, and Happy New Year to everyone. I have a couple of updates, and then Joey from our team is also here to have a quick update on the general plan. That's one of his policy focus areas, so he can better explain that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lynn Lee. I'm Councilor Mulcahy's chief of staff. And we have just a few updates. As we know, traffic safety is a big focus area and concern of the Cory neighborhood. And we're still continuing to have active conversations both with DOT and residents. The councilor had a couple of really strong conversations with some of the neighbors in the last week. So we're seeing where we can move the needle a little bit there, but just know that conversation is ongoing. Similarly with parking, we have had a little bit of progress. Thank you to Rita from the Cory Neighborhood Association board. She, myself, and Karina on our team did a walkthrough of the neighborhood to canvass which locations can have red tipping, where it's just a little too short to have a full car. So we have that all mapped out and all of the addresses, all of that was shared with DOT. They have approved the project and the work order was approved. So we anticipate that work to be done sometime in the beginning of February. So I'll keep you posted on that. We also know the parking can only be handled by us for a little bit. Part of it is also Valley Fair. And I apologize if I missed this earlier in the meeting. We know that there will be new management. We don't know who that is yet, but we're looking forward to having a lot of positive conversation with them and hope to make some positive progress on the parking challenges that the neighborhood continues to face. I'll leave this conversation to Rita to share a little bit, but we've also made some good progress on the tree canopy. And there's, I believe, Jennifer Seguin, I saw her on the call. We've had a couple of really strong meetings. And Bob Crass, who I'm not sure is on the call, I think I saw he was traveling, but he really instigated that. So a lot of great work there. And then just a couple of quick updates. We're having a District 6 cleanup at St. Leo's this Saturday. It starts at 9 a.m. where we're going to go both down towards the Alameda as well as towards San Carlos. We'll have both some cleanup and some beautification opportunities there. And then on the 7th is the Mayor's State of the City. That also will be at 9 a.m. We're going to start at City Hall, and then we will go forward to do some cleanups in the neighborhoods there. I did see some questions pop up here. Sorry, I'm on my phone. But before we do that,
I can read the questions to you. I can read them to you.
Yeah. Before that, can I pass it off to Joey for him to give a quick update?
Well, one was regarding red tipping. Can we ask
okay.
that one first?
Yeah.
So the question was, is red tipping opt-in or is it automatic?
I believe it's automatic, but I think it's opt out. So there will be some canvassing of the neighborhoods. So at that time, my understanding is that it's like a week or two before it happens. If you wish to opt out of your segments being red tipped, I believe at that time you can do so.
There's one other question, but I'll wait if you want to wait till after Joey speaks.
Great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joey. I'm also with Councilmember Mulcahy's office. I was just going to share just a quick update. I know I saw some of you at the most recent general plan 4-year review meeting. That's just an ongoing process that's been happening since late last year. Every 4 years, the city gets together. Right now, it's the Planning Commission is getting together just to look to see where there's potential areas for growth. It's a very slow process, and it's going to continue from, again, starting late last year till June. And so we don't have much information as to the exacts yet. We do know that they're looking at a few areas for some potential growth. And we know that North Winchester Boulevard is a part of what they are going to be studying and looking at. That doesn't mean, the 17-story development, that's not something that we were supportive of. But that means they're going to look to just take a look at it, see what makes the most sense. Is there potential for that neighborhood commercial designation to maybe change? So they're going to be taking a look at that and studying that. I'm going to include in the chat the Zoom chat, an opportunity for public comment. If you have anything that you'd like to write to the 4-year review, you can use this link. That will give you the opportunity to have your input. But yeah, right now they're just going through the process of saying, here's what we're going to take a look at. We'll see what results from that. There'll also be a big a housing day council meeting tomorrow. One of the agendized items is SB 79. Kind of reviewing what that looks like at the city level. I've gotten some questions from some Cory neighbors as to what that means. To my knowledge, SB 79 does not apply to the Cory neighborhood. There's some other areas of District 6 that we're extremely focused on looking at and seeing what that means. But the Cory neighborhood is not a part of the SB 79 update, so no need for any worry on that front. I think that's it.
Yes. The Planning Commission said that the Winchester side from Newhall all the way down to, I think, Heading, that's zoned for high growth.
So they, at the most recent general plan meeting, they said that they're going to take a look at that area and study it as a part of their growth areas. That's not a part of the SB 79 process.
Okay.
If that's where they're confused. So they're just taking a look at it and seeing kind of based off of what we had described in our memo, saying, um, specifically at the site with the proposal, not 17 stories, but if there's an opportunity for some lower level of housing, let's take a look at it. Let's see. That's kind of where we're at in that area. Yeah, please email us, email or use the form that I provided um, to make sure that you have your voices heard for this 4-year process.
And there are a couple questions on here, and I'm not sure if this is directly related to everything you just said.
Yeah.
But one question was asked about the neighborhood planning department and the impact to Cory. You said a high growth is, I guess, is there any more details on that that you can share without going to this meeting? Like, is
Yeah.
there,
So
you said not
all,
17, but does that mean 10's okay, or 5 or 8, or like, what does that mean?
we only know that they're taking a look at it. And that's all the information that the Planning Commission has gotten. So all we know is that they're going to take a look at it, um, see what makes sense. I have the map that was on the memo. I mean, it's only kind of along South Winchester and the San Jose part, and a few houses each way. So nothing super major. Compared to what the other growth areas look like, it's not a very big area.
Okay, so Winchester head. The question was here more
Yeah,
specific. You can read that. It says, "Is it just Winchester heading? Is it more or less?" So you're saying just that kind of
it goes from kind of Newhall at the north down to I'm sorry, I'm just trying down to Valley
Heading.
Fair.
Oh, Valley
on the
Fair.
Valley Fair,
Okay.
all the way down to Stevens Creek. Okay, so that's all of Winchester. That's at one point is actually Santa Clara and San Jose. You have two sides there.
Yes, and
So
so we don't control what the Santa Clara side does. I know just looking at the map here, a lot of those are commercial sites anyway. And so I don't know what the city of Santa Clara is doing as a part of their process. Just this is what we know from the city of San Jose.
and it's along the Winchester corridor, not into the neighborhood at all, or one or two houses in, or what does that look like?
Just very few houses, and it doesn't like in the part along heading, it doesn't go till it stops short of. I'm trying to read the map. Sorry, it stops short of that first parallel street on Monroe. Sorry, I don't know the exact
So, but Monroe,
street.
that's pretty far into the neighborhood.
It's
Monroe is.
before that. It stops short of a few houses before that. I'm trying to read the map
I
while I'm
believe
on
it's
the Zoom.
Beechwood, Joey. It stops
Yes.
at
Okay.
Beechwood.
Before that, 6 or 7 houses before Beechwood. So
Okay.
it's a very narrow strip that um, it's looking at.
It's basically the side adjacent to Winchester.
Yes.
Okay. And there's one other question that was brought up here. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is the right time to bring this up, Joey, or with Lynn, was about the Newhall safety petition. I'm not familiar with that, but
Yeah, I
obviously
can
you
speak.
are.
I can speak a little to that. Alex, we received that, or I received that in my inbox today, and so we have a meeting with DOT next week that we plan to discuss with them. As I kind of mentioned at the beginning of our updates, we continue to look at a lot of traffic safety areas within Cory. We're really trying with DOT to figure out pathways forward, and so hopefully we'll have some good news there. That being said, nothing's going to be a silver bullet, and we don't want to overpromise, but we are working to try to find how we can make some improvements in the area. Um, and I would, there was one other comment I wanted to make about today. It's forgetting me right now. So if it comes back to me, I'll be sure to share.
But just hang in there. We'll bring you back in. Just shoot me a text or something, and or raise your hand, and we'll bring you back in. Okay.
Okay, is that it?
There are a couple comments about Monroe traffic safety. People drive 50 while pedestrians are crossing. I think that was brought up last meeting. And the proposed high density housing on Newhall and Washington, the old Normandy house. Is there any status on that? Is that San Jose or Santa Clara? That's San Jose.
Technically,
So
it spans the border.
Spans the border, but there's got to be a dividing line somewhere. So is the development a Santa Clara application or a San Jose application?
Right up the middle.
This is both.
It's both.
both will have to take a look at it. I think Santa Clara has a little bit more say, just from my understanding of it. In terms of what I've heard from the San Jose side, I haven't heard any updates kind of since that initial proposal. But as soon as we hear something, we'll make sure to share it with the neighborhood.
Great. I think that's all. If anybody else has something that's in there, if they could just cut and paste it back into the chat because it might have gotten buried, we'll try and be on top of that. Appreciate it. City's planning to add a new bike lane on Newhall. How close are we to that?
I would need to look at usually that's associated with the repaving schedule. So I would need to, you can look that up. It's publicly available on the DOT's website. They have a really strong map that shows you the timeline for that. But usually the bike lanes are associated with the repaving.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joey. Thank you, Lynn Lee. Appreciate your time. Now, our next speaker is going to be...
Before the next speaker, I just want to take a moment to just say, sorry, Art, just keep cutting you off there.
That's okay.
Special thanks to Linda and Sarah Brennan for continuing to have a Christmas in the Park Christmas tree. Here is the tree itself. If you had a chance to see it, hopefully you did. If not, just know that so far we've done it every year that I've been on the board. And I think we're committed to doing that. And if the Cory neighborhood pays for that, so your neighborhood association fees pay for that, or not fees, but the money in the neighborhood association pays for that. So we hope that everybody supports that.
Yeah, and if anyone on the meeting that saw that and want to partake in it, let us know. Linda and Sarah are always looking for extra volunteers, both in putting it up and taking it down. All right, next on the agenda is our County Supervisor, Susan Ellenberg. And speaking for her tonight is Chris Core. Chris, you can unmute yourself, and if you have if you need to share to show a PowerPoint or anything, just let us know.
Oh, yeah, I don't have anything to visually share tonight, and I also apologize. My computer refuses to acknowledge that I have a camera connected to it, so I'm a little bit invisible tonight, but I'm filling in for Victor tonight, and I'll go over some just quick updates on our end and then any questions anybody might have. Tomorrow, we're having a Board of Supervisors meeting. There's 2 items that I really do want to highlight. The first being our budget transparency referral. This was initially brought to the board back in November with Supervisor Abby Koga and Supervisor Ellenberg providing it. Really what it's supposed to do is dive more into Object 2 appropriations. So this is more so services and supplies, which makes up a large part of our budget. It's going to be opening up more information to be available in the recommended budget, and really set up a long-term system that focuses on increasing the transparency, the details, and overall the public availability of the county's budget too as well. This is going to be falling in line with conversations about moving Measure A forward, more so about the Oversight Committee. So it's going to be, right now they'll be talking about it tomorrow in regards to this Budget Transparency Act, making sure that we have a committee of residents that look over where the money is going that's coming in from Measure A and making sure it's falling in line with this Budget Transparency Act as well. This is kind of going to be the more ongoing and frequently updated thing throughout the year, and kind of the biggest kind of push that we're hoping to achieve throughout this year, just opening up the budget a little bit more to the public. Also, tomorrow we're going to be looking at our home visitation referral. So this was initially brought on by the supervisor during COVID to allow for child care providers to go into families' homes and allow them to provide services and child care at their homes. This was a continued thing after this because it was very easy for very vulnerable populations to receive child care at their home. It was a little bit more personal. Children tended to have better results in school and overall development having that personalized care. And annually, we see about 7,000 families. So it's a pretty big need. The funds have been wavering down. So kind of going along with the budget and kind of trying to save services, we're also trying to make sure that we're keeping these childcare services going. A big reason for that is the supervisor's big belief is that childcare services and assistance is preventative care that also has a lot of physical impact. So, for example, these home visitations save the county about $5 per visit. So they see them. Depends on everybody has a little different how often they see them, but on average, usually it's a $5 saving. So we kind of are hoping to see that the budget and childcare kind of go hand in hand in terms of preventing future costs to the county as well. Two other things I just want to throw out there too is that this year the supervisor will be the president of the California State Association of Counties. You'll hear her refer to it as CSAC quite a bit. This is a really big advocacy role for the supervisor. So she'll be working along with all the other counties in California and more closely to our state delegation, and really advocating for kind of what I've talked about: budget transparency, money backing childcare, and overall supporting the systems that Santa Clara County has shown to be successful, and also taking on other opinions and thoughts from others, state and county delegates as well. And the last thing I want to throw out there is on February 18th is going to be our State of the District. It's going to be at Willow Glen High School. We'll have community speakers. We'll have different elected officials there. We're going to have catering too, so it'll be free food as well. And that'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be open to everybody. We'll also have some county services and different local businesses too. And I'm just going to drop in real quick the link for that if anybody's interested. But those are my updates for today.
And if you have like a flyer, if you send it to me, I'll send it out to the neighborhood. We'll also post it on our website so that everyone can see.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll send it over. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And I just wanted to if Lynn or Joe, if you have an opportunity, there are a couple questions in chat that kind of were brought up, but maybe if you could reply to Alex or Brad directly in the chat, that would be great, because I think you already addressed it, but just in case that you can talk specifically to their questions.
Are there any questions for Chris?
I have a question. This is just a personal question. So I've seen in some of the articles that are written that the DA and some of the police folks are kind of upset with the county in terms of what they expected from the ballot measure and the bond or the tax that's coming and how it's going to be spent. Can you talk to that a little bit about, can you talk a little bit about what the supervisor's position on that is, or what the issue is? I don't really know how to interpret that information, and who's upset. Are they going to? It sounds like they might have a lawsuit, or I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So when it came to Measure A, really the big picture and the big point was the biggest hit that we're going to be taking from federal funds is going to be from the hospital system. So overall, we receive about $3.5 billion annually. About $2 billion of that is from the health and hospital system, Medicaid reimbursement, and so on. So a lot of the funds that we're hoping to get through Measure A, we're supposed to backfill services that we would lose through that funding. So although Measure A's dollars won't go specifically into healthcare fully, what it would be in place is to fill in services that would lose funding because the funding would have to back healthcare. So for example, if we're funding mental health and we're seeing a big hit in funding to healthcare, we would take money from mental health that would have to go into healthcare, and then that Measure A fund would then support and bolster the money lost in the healthcare sector and the mental health sector. That's not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm saying that's kind of the idea, is that that fund would make up for that lost fund to make sure that the healthcare services, which to us is the top life-saving service, doesn't take that giant hit.
I just muted you by mistake. Can you unmute yourself? I apologize.
My bad.
Thanks, Chris. I apologize. That's totally my. I muted the wrong person. Sorry.
You're all good. So that's kind of, I'm not saying that that's specifically what's happening now, but more so as the healthcare services might lose that funding, that money's there to backfill and fill in other services that's taking the money from that. I think kind of a little bit of back and forth that we had is that A lot of public safety is hoping to have the money, and there hasn't been anything that's been set in stone yet that public safety would not be receiving money. But I think that there was just kind of this assumption that there would be for sure be funds allocated to every sector rather than this committee overseeing it and making sure that funds are going in places that would properly support them and make sure that they still have a set foundation to operate services through.
And just a follow-up to that, and I don't see anybody else asking any questions, then we'll let you go. Was if money is, it's predicted that $2 billion will be short, and this is going to raise, I don't know, three-quarters of a billion or $1 billion or whatever that is. If that's not shown to be the case and the money does show up and it's not needed for that, what happens to those funds? Will the tax, like, I understand this is like a preventive measure, is that how it was explained? Proactive measure. So if that is not actually required, how does the county, because it's far my understanding it goes into their general fund. There's no allocation.
Yeah.
How will you share that information?
So the money will still be going through the committee. So the committee will be the main people that tell the board where the money is being spent and making sure that they're tracking it and also making it public at board meetings as well. So that's also what they'll be talking about tomorrow at the board meeting is overall how it's going to be addressed, how it's going to be reported, how often the committee would meet. So like, those types of things haven't been fully set yet, but moving in place to make sure that there are continued updates of how much money is coming in, where that money is going, and kind of who is overseeing that process as well. Since it will be general fund, it will be open to use for all services. And then, like I said, it's kind of backfilling of which one's taking the biggest hit in terms of losses overall. I think, did that answer kind of?
That's great. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
And how do we attend that? Can we attend that meeting tomorrow, or is it our Zoom link? Or
Yeah, so when I finish talking here, I'll drop the Zoom link back in there for you all.
Okay.
But it's going to be on the county's YouTube channel. It also has a Zoom, which is a little bit harder to get to at times, and then also in person too at 70 West Heading. And the meeting starts at 9:30. I'm not sure what time that specific item will go out. There's quite a bit on it tomorrow, but they'll be talking about that starting at 9:30 throughout the day.
All right, that's 9:30, obviously AM, right?
Yes, thankfully.
Yeah. All right, Chris, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, appreciate it. I'll drop the link in here in a few minutes.
All right. Kirk, go ahead.
Okay, so the next folks that we have up here are Jennifer and Sarah from San Jose, the Urban Forester Group, talking about. Sarah, is it just you, or are you and Jennifer joining?
I believe it's just me.
Just you. Okay. I only had badge information for you, so I don't have a picture of you up on there for everyone to see. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's my collection, like my 20-year collection of name tags from different things I've gone to. I just submitted a request to be able to share my screen.
Yeah, I gave it to you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you should have it.
Okay. Okay, are we looking good now?
Yep.
Okay, great. I am not 100% certain what Jennifer and Mark told you last time. I apologize. I was out on leave. And since then, Mark has taken a new opportunity with the city of Mountain View. So I hope what I brought today isn't duplicating what you've already seen. So stop me if it is. Okay, so I looked at your agenda slide about the tree stuff and kind of mashed up some updates on what's going on based on the tree part agenda. So let me keep going. Okay, so I think I heard that you all are very excited to plant street trees. So
Yes.
we were able to secure a $5.6 million Inflation Reduction Act grant from the U.S. Forest Service. So it's based on census tracts. So we have 78 census tracts that are eligible for the program, be it a free tree or to have the street trees pruned or remove any dead trees. So our idea behind the whole project was to prune the trees and plant new ones and work with the San Jose Conservation Corps on some workforce development. So unfortunately, your neighborhood is not in the census tracts that gets free trees. So the disadvantaged neighborhoods were determined by the previous administration's Justice 40 initiative, which was aiming for federal grants to go to make it easier for federal grants to go to disadvantaged parts of the United States. So the only difference you're going to see is the neighborhoods that are in blue right now. They get a free tree, a street tree, if they would like one, and it gets watered for 3 years. So the rest of the city also may get a free street tree planted, except the person who requested the tree will have to water it. So that was the most equitable way we could figure out how to use our resources. So this is how it's going to work. So the Justice 40 trees will be paid for by the federal government, and then the trees outside of those neighborhoods, like yours, are going to be funded by the tree mitigation fees that the developers pay when they can't replant the number of trees on their property that is required. So this will be, citywide. Anybody can get the same amount of service. It's just a difference of watering. So that's just the one catch. So you were interested in our approved street tree lists. We did update those lists in the last couple of months, and they're arranged by large, medium, and small canopied trees. So I know that you're interested in a particular palette being developed just for the Cory neighborhood, and we are happy to work with you on that. One thing to keep in mind is that it's important to have all kinds of different trees and at different ages. So if a pest or a pathogen comes along, all the trees won't die at the same time. So typically pests and pathogens are very species specific. So if you have a diversity of trees, that kind of cements having a tree population into the future. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of tree care here. So this keeps happening around San Jose. So people keep topping their trees. Not really sure exactly why. I think it goes back to San Jose having a history of being orchards, and a part of fruit tree cultivation is doing very hard cutbacks and making the trees so the fruit is reachable from the ground as part of it. So we're thinking that as the orchards got eaten up by city, the people that were working in those orchards went into different types of work in the city and perpetuated the practice of topping the trees. So what really happens is when your tree is topped, you get these little stubs, right? There's no foliage, like you can't really grow leaves to produce energy for the tree on those little stubs. So what happens is the tree pushes out a lot of new growth really, really fast, so that it can get the leaves out so it can get energy. The problem is those little branches that are coming out of the stubs don't have the same tissue as a typical branch would. So it doesn't stay on the tree very well. So if there's a rainstorm or some sort of loading happens on those branches, they tend to break out. So by topping, you're kind of making a bigger problem for the tree. So part of that is this is my geeky science slide. So part of this is knowing how to prune. So this is really important. I'm gonna have a quiz for you in a little while. So anytime you cut a branch in between where something's going on, so in between any of those branches that have arrows pointing at them, if you cut in between those and make that stub, that's when you get that really horrible response growth from the topping. So on the right is showing us how to make an actual good cut. So we can make a cut to reduce the size. So if you think your tree is too big, which is something we hear fairly often, you can make cuts to make the tree smaller, but keep it healthy and not have that reaction to the topping with all the bushy branches. And you could also make cuts all the way to remove a full branch back to the trunk. And that gets a little bit more complicated. So trees are like submarines. If you learn nothing from me today, remember trees are submarines. Okay, so if your submarine gets hit by a torpedo, all the sailors run around and they close all the hatches, all the doors to the compartment where the torpedo hit. So it seals all the damage in that one compartment. So it could be full of water, but the submarine still functions because all that new water is just in one place. It's not sinking the whole submarine. So trees do the same thing. So anytime you wound a tree, it doesn't heal like animals do. It kind of closes over. So it closes over just like that door in the submarine does. So it kind of keeps all the future damage from decay or pests inside that one compartment. And it's really tricky to kind of tell where exactly branches should be pruned. In this blurry photo over here, you can see that there's 2 branches, right? And then there's this kind of like bumpy line in the middle. And then you go out a little bit and there's a dashed red line. That shows you the branch collar. So if you cut just outside of that red line, then you have the tissues that will go on and make the callus wood. That's where it's sealing over. That's the hatch closing over the wound. So you can see in the picture on the far upper right, the wound on top is the response you want. That's good. It's mostly uniformly sealing over the entire wound. The cut on the bottom isn't a good cut. And you can see how on the far right-hand side, you don't see that callus forming, and it's not forming as well. That's because that cut was made inside of that special branch tissue. So that's when you talk to your tree service and you want to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing, because it can cause you more problems in the future because now the tree has a hard time keeping out decay. So what does that look like over time in terms of topping? So you can see on this illustration how if you pretty much do nothing, the greenish teal aqua colored tree on the right, it kind of still looks like a tree, right? But the tree that's in the yellow, that's the response to the topping. So that kind of looks like a twiggy mess, kind of like a broom almost. So just keep in mind when you want your trees to be smaller, you can reduce the size, but just don't top them. Okay, and then how do you hire an arborist, right? Okay, does anyone want to chime in and say what they see wrong in this picture? Don't all answer at once. Okay, I'll go. Okay, first off, this individual doesn't have a helmet on. So if this person were to fall out of your tree onto your yard and get hurt, there is a potential for a lawsuit there. So you want your tree workers to always be in full protective equipment. So there's no helmet, there's no ear protection, there's no eye protection. And then interesting, this gentleman has on spikes on his calves, which basically push a metal spike into the bark of the tree so that they can climb up it. The problem with that is it causes all these little holes moving up and down the tree where it's easy for pathogens to get into. Now, it's fine to use spikes if you're working on a dead tree, if you're working to remove a dead tree. But this tree is alive. You can see it has little buds on each of the little branches. So if this is done being pruned, it has more problems. So you only want to see people in spikes on dead trees. Also, when you're working with a tree service, you want to check to see if they belong to any professional organizations. So there's several different levels. The International Society of Arboriculture certifies arborists as well as several other categories that are more refined, and has a continuing education requirement for each of those certifications. So you know that the individual who has earned that has been keeping up to date on the latest trends, pests, as well as just doing everything correctly and reminding themselves of that. The Tree Care Industry Association is the blanket for all of the companies. So they'll join TCIA, and they have a safety certification program to make sure that the company is working safely. So we have the person, we have the industry, and then there's ASCA, the American Society of Consulting Arborists. That's where you hire your consultants. So the people who are going to make recommendations on how to care for or treat your tree, or if you need an arborist report for some reason, those are the people that have the skills to be able to do that work for you. And then you can always tell a professional tree worker. So remember this guy, right? Well, these people look a lot different, don't they? They have all the gadgets you can imagine. They're on every little, yeah. They have every doodad and every carabiner you could ever want. And you see here the picture on the right, there's lots of ropes. So you know that individual has a backup plan if something bad happens to a rope. This individual kind of just has a lanyard. So they're only attached to the tree in one spot. So if they nick that rope, they're falling out of the tree. And the fun thing about tree workers is sometimes they're women. So we have lots of women arborists out there doing the work, and you could always tell an arborist because we put stickers on everything. So if you have somebody coming out to give you a bid and they have a water bottle, check their water bottle for stickers, because that's a true sign of how invested they are in the tree care industry. So I'm sure Jennifer and Mark touched on the invasive shot-hole borer. It is an invasive pest that came to North America into Southern California via Asia. So this little guy is super, super tiny, which is fine. They can't do very much damage, but that insect carries with it a fungus that decays the wood. And the reason the insect carries the fungus is because that's what they eat. So they will basically farm the fungus in the tree to feed their offspring. So it works out great for the beetle, but it doesn't work out so great for the tree because now the wood is being digested. And that could be a very big problem for us here in San Jose, because about 1 in every 5 street trees is one of those trees that this pest likes to eat. And we find it mostly in riparian corridors. And so we started to look at trees within about a half to a third mile within those corridors, those riparian areas. And this is what it looked like. So our plan was to treat this like a very slow moving forest fire. So here you can see all the green dots. Those are street trees in our inventory that are within that zone of a half to a third of a mile. And then those red squares are where we have the pest confirmed, where we found it. And it's kind of suspicious. All those red squares are pretty close to a creek. Well, as we are working through this problem and doing more inspections, this is what the map looks like now. So yellow dots have a low level of infestation. The orange is a medium, and then the red are highly infested. Those are the trees that pump out these beetles to move on to new trees. So those red ones, we're actively taking a role in having them removed. And then those trees that are orange, we're treating with a pesticide that stays inside of the tree. So the idea is to make the tree toxic to that one beetle, so it can't move on to more trees. So it's basically a population control type of method. And that's not a spray. You don't have to put it in the soil. A licensed applicator can inject that straight into the trunk of the tree. So you don't have to worry about crazy chemicals going anywhere. So that's on the horizon. But aren't we lucky? I came from Denver, where we dealt with the emerald ash borer, and the approach we're taking now is very similar to the emerald ash borer. It's not a matter of containing it anymore. Now it's just kind of trying to control it so that we don't see masses of trees being lost all at once. And when I say all at once, I'm saying within the same 10 years. So in the time frame of a tree's life, yeah, 10 years is pretty fast. So I flew through that. You're welcome to contact me with any questions you want. And I hope that I covered what you wanted me to cover. And now I'm going to attempt to stop sharing. Let me know if I stop sharing.
I still see it.
I'll stop sharing it.
Now you see my messy email folder.
There we
right?
go.
Oh, perfect. Great.
So, a couple questions.
Yes.
One of the first ones was, or that I'd like to ask would be, why can't we proactively treat trees that are not necessarily infected with this so they don't get infected?
You can. But so there's this concept called integrated pest management. And the idea is that we manage these things we don't want in our plants in kind of a controlled way. Can we treat the tree differently? Does it need more water, less water? We're trying to make the trees as healthy as possible. Okay, do we need to take out some dead wood? It's still a problem. So we kind of work up to needing a chemical treatment. So the trees respond very well to the treatment up until about a medium infestation. So some of those light infestations might not ever really progress very far. So you could be putting money into your trees when it's not really necessary. And two, we don't want to overuse pesticides. So even though what is the best to use is a non-neonicotinoid, for any of you who are interested in bees and things like that, it's not that harmful to the rest of the spectrum of insects. And so we could treat, but we don't want to put that many pesticides out into the world if we don't have to.
Okay, and we have a couple questions online. What are the recommended intervals for pruning a young / recently planted tree?
Yeah, so if you go, oh no, I'm gonna have to share again.
Oh boy.
I know. Let's see. So let me get back to my, well, of course it doesn't want me. Oh, you have a PowerPoint too. All right, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But that photo, the schematic I showed you of that tree branch, you want to be able to tell if the tree is established before you make any decisions about pruning. And the way that you can tell is that very top of that branch, when it starts to grow out, you'll get a bunch of little rings around the branch, right? So then the next year, the next bud does the same thing. So you have like these little sections of little growth, better growth, big growth, and then big growth again. So typically it takes about 3 to 4 years for the tree to become established. In the meantime, you want to keep as many leaves on that young tree as possible so that it produces energy for the tree to produce roots and get off to a healthy start. It's the only time you really want to prune young trees if there's dead wood or if there are branches that are crossing and rubbing on one another. So newly planted trees typically don't need to be pruned for about 3 to 4 years after planting. After then, once your tree starts growing and it gets to be a pretty good size, I would encourage you to have your tree inspected about once every 5 years to see if there's any training work that you need to be doing to the new tree, and just to set it up for success into the future. So that's where having a good tree service comes into play too. Because they kind of want to make some money. So you may get recommendations from some tree services to do a whole bunch of work that you don't really need to have done. So it's a good idea to always get more than one bid. And the person who tells you, well, we don't really need to do that much, is probably the most ethical of tree services that you want to work with. So yeah, for the first about 3 years, don't do anything. Between year and 5, light pruning, and then after that, have it looked at once every 5 years.
And last question, does the approved tree list apply to self-planted trees in the park strips?
Yes. So the public right-of-way, that's the area between the curb and the sidewalk, or the area if your sidewalk is attached to the curb, is like the first 10 feet of what looks like your yard. Those need to be on the approved list. Those are trees that we know will grow in this area. They are sturdy. They can handle our droughts as well as our wet seasons, and have fewer pests and pathogens in our area. So those are the most sturdy trees. However, if you would like to plant a tree in your yard, go for it. That's great. That you can do whatever you want in your yard, but that right of way, we kind of have some specific things we're trying to achieve. But if there's something you want to try or you find interesting or just isn't on the list, we are more than happy to work with you to see if that is something that could be successful in your location. So our approved tree list is not set in stone. That's just an easy starter. So if you find something on the list that you really like, great. You don't have to go through any more negotiation with the city. You can just jump to one of those trees. But if you want to try something that's off the list, reach out to us and we'll work with you in making sure that that's going to be the right tree for you.
Okay. Wanted to just say the reason why we had you speak was because we're doing a project. We have Cory Neighborhood Reforestation Committee, which is working with you guys to plant more trees in our neighborhood. And for anyone listening out there, if that's of interest to you and you want to join the committee, let me know or let the board know, and we'll put you on the list and they'll contact you.
Or
so again, this is going to happen.
Or stay tuned for a later presentation in like 10 minutes.
Oh, all right.
Sorry. We do have our form online to request a tree is under legal review right now. It is tentatively up on the website. So once we hear back from the city attorney to put on the right language for the form, we'll be able to launch that to everyone. And if your committee also wants to help us canvass and find places for new trees, we're happy to provide you with a training as well as the materials to canvass the neighborhood with. So we're getting pretty close to having that all dialed in. We have a person hired to run the program, so we're about ready to go. And we would love for you guys to be the first ones in to help us work through any little hiccups we might have in our process.
All right, Sarah, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. All right, next on our list is okay, so you may have heard that we got smart meters coming, and so we tried to get an expert to tell us how this is going to affect us, and that is Leanne. She's from the San Jose Water, and she's Director of Corporate Communications. Leanne, why don't you take over?
Thanks, Art. So let me share my screen. Hold on one second. Hopefully it'll let me share. There we go. Okay. Everybody can see my deck. Okay.
Yep.
I am Leanne Walborski. I'm the Director of Corporate Communications at San Jose Water, and I'm here, I believe my colleague Kurt Elvert, who's the Manager of Customer Service and Conservation, is also on the call. He's really more the expert and hopefully can answer some of your questions, more specific questions about smart meters. I'm going to try to go through this and give you some good information. And then he'll be there for the expertise. So you see, we're calling it's advanced metering infrastructure. That's sort of like the clinical name, but the truth is we call them smart meters, easier to remember, a little bit easier to understand. San Jose Water has been installing these. We started in mid 2025, and we should be done by, I believe, the end of 2026. It was supposed to take us 2 years, but I think we're running ahead of schedule. So I think by the end of, by December of 2026, they should all be at the ground, hopefully. All right, let me just see if I can move forward with this. Hold on one second. Okay, so how does your smart meter system work? Basically, your smart water meter, it measures, records, and, transmits your hourly water usage, which is pretty cool. And we have these antennas, which we have installed, which I think Kurt will speak more to in a little bit. But, the information goes from your house to the antenna. And then from there, it goes to, a system with our customer service. And also you can access your data from this very cool customer portal we have called SJ Water Hub, which we'll talk about a little bit more later as well. So that's in a nutshell, kind of how it works. And according to the American Water Works Association, smart meters are part of an integrated system of meters and information systems that enable communication between meters and utilities. That's kind of the definition of how these things work. So the next screen is our deployment process. And we give you, a lot of notice that this is happening. But basically our partner, Concord Utilities, who has, Concord on their truck and everything, they have signage. They arrive at your home. They confirm the meter ID and they read it. And then they either, I believe, install the smart point, they replace it, or they install a new meter. This is the stuff I don't know that well, but based on what you've got, and they install the smart point through the lid. Again, confirm that it works, take pictures, and leave you a door hanger so everybody knows that we've been there. We very much let you know. There's a letter that's on the left side of the screen that goes out about 5 weeks before we get out there, before Concord gets out there. And then about 2 weeks out, we send a postcard. So, everybody hopefully knows that they're getting the smart meter. But also, the good news is that you don't have to be home. So it's okay if you forget, and you don't know, but you don't have to be in your house. And just so you know, some of the benefits of the smart meter, basically it gives you remote real-time access to water usage at your convenience. You can monitor your water usage and kind of get a sense of your bill size before the bill arrives. You can set alarms to indicate spikes, which could mean a leak. And, if you do see something weird going on with your usage, like, water running all night long, which really shouldn't happen, that's early stage leak detection. So you can have a quicker repair and it won't cause so much damage. All right, so the next slide, I'm hoping Kurt is on and he can talk a little bit about the technology. Hopefully he's here.
I am. Thank you, Leanne. And good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for having us to talk about our smart meters today. As Leanne mentioned, really the meter itself is going to consist of 2 or maybe 3 things. If the meter is anywhere between a year old and 14 years old, we're going to leave that meter in the ground and only upgrade the meter register. You can see that on your slide, kind of upright. That is just a new register that'll go on it, and it'll have a cord attached to it, which will allow that new meter register to connect to that smart point. That smart point's the antenna. That'll allow that meter to connect to our base stations. Those are the antennas, and then to our system in the cloud. Now, if the meter is due for replacement either last year, the year before, all the way up through 2029, then The replacement's actually going to be a brand new water meter. You can see on your left side called a Mach 10. That is an ultrasonic meter. Now, our old meter technology are mostly positive displacement meters, mechanical basically. But these Mach 10 meters are ultrasonic. They're a little bit more, they are a bit more accurate and a little bit more sensitive to low flows. So if it does get a Mach 10, it'll be that new Mach 10 meter and the smart point. Additionally, we're deploying all new meter lids. For the longest time, we've had primarily concrete meter lids, sometimes metal lids if they're in people's driveways or anywhere where vehicular traffic can go. But we're actually changing those out to a hard polyplastic lid and metal if necessary. So that's kind of where we are with our smart meter technology. In terms of the Mach 10s, we have about 50,000 of our meters through this AMI project will be getting the Mach 10, where the other about 207 or 170,000 are just retrofits. But over the course of the next 15 years, we're going to be converting all of our meters to these ultrasonic meters. All right, there we go, antennas. So in order for our smart meter system to be completely capable throughout our entire service territory, we need to make sure that, one, the meter can communicate to the cloud. Now, we do that with these antennas. Now, we're utilizing all of our own properties, putting up these antennas. Typically, as you can see, they're on top of tanks, higher locations. And for redundancy, we have to make sure that each of the meters can communicate with at least 2 antennas. Right now, we have 11 of these smart point antennas up, and we will be going to a total of 15 once we are done with this year. We have 4 more to install in different locations. I think we have one downtown, one in Almaden, and a couple on the east side. So still some antennas to go up, but these are not very intrusive. They're on our own infrastructure, and most people wouldn't even realize that they're there. Next slide. All right, data security and system architecture. Obviously, it's really important. Data security is becoming more and more important as everything goes into the cloud. More and more people have a digital footprint, and for us, protecting customer privacy is paramount. When we work with third-party vendors, they have to go through cybersecurity checks. They all have cybersecurity insurance, and all of this is encrypted. And really, a lot of this security we keep an eye on. And of course, whenever you call our customer service center, we do ask for verification that it is indeed you. So we do keep your privacy very private. Next slide, please.
So this just shows you how many meters we've installed in the last, since, like I said, since mid-2025. 125,000 with about 106,759 outstanding, which we should have done by the end of 2026. 85 people have opted out. It's kind of unusual, as you can see the numbers, but that is an option. You can opt out, and I'll speak more to that in the next slide. So as I mentioned, really less than 0.1% of the total meters installed, people have chosen to opt out. The national average of people that opt out is about 1%. Why people opt out? They feel like they don't like the technology. They're against AMI. They feel it, is against, it's not private. They just don't want it. They feel there could be health concerns. So there is a fee to opt out. Basically, it's $25 per billing period, because what that means is we have to go manually read your meter. So we do charge a fee. And we have to come back and take out the meter that we installed. So that would be a removal. There are no charges until we start using the AMI reads for billing purposes. But in general, yes, you can opt out. Not too many people do, but it is an option, but there is a fee. So. So when you get your smart meter, you also can sign up for SJ Water Hub, which is this very cool portal that allows you to pay your bill, track your water usage, manage your accounts all in one spot. You access your daily water data, set alerts for unplanned water use, sign up for notifications for leaks, as I mentioned before. And again, we, send out this postcard letting people know that, to sign up for SJ Water Hub. The URL is there. I'll also have the URL on the final slide. When we go to questions, I can put it into the chat. But this is a great system, something that, we waited years, and we're just so excited about it that we have people have this ability. Everything is fully integrated. We're back in the internet era here because our billing tended to be quite manual in the past. Let's see. So I don't know, Kurt, if you want to speak to this slide about the leak alerts.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we actually look at leak alerts in two intervals. One is a 24-hour continuous flow leak alert where we will actually reach out to the customer through text, email, a phone message. And then we also have a 72-hour leak alert. So a leak alert would be continuous flow over the course of those hours there. So 24 or 72. So we're going to be reaching out to our customers to let them know that they have continuous flow, which might mean that they have a leak. This has actually been quite popular. I've got a neighbor who knows me well, and he got one of these texts while he was in Europe. Of course, he texted me directly and said that, oh my goodness, I was just notified I have a leak. And he immediately reached out to his tenant. His tenant went out and found a hose that was not off all the way. So instead of something like that running for, the couple weeks that he was out of the country, he just had his tenant turn off the hose and saved a bunch of water that way. So these leak alerts are already proving to be quite effective in helping our customers save water. Water loss measured. All right.
Yeah.
So water loss is another thing that San Jose Water really focuses heavily on. This water loss here, you can actually see these are leaks that we're finding on our customer side that would otherwise continue to flow and cost water loss in the system. Now, of course, this would be going through the meter and the customer would be responsible for it. But, water loss is water loss, and especially in times of drought. And I think we all know droughts kind of come and go, that if we can keep everyone's water system as tight as possible without leaking water away, then that just keeps water in the system for the next year or the year after that. So this is what we've already kind of seen through about 60% of our deployment so far.
So these are just, some happy customers who posted on Nextdoor, who realized how great it was to have their smart meter, to be able to, understand their water usage, checking for leaks. It's just, showing you that it can be a really great thing, something we're really excited about, and to get it into everybody who wants it, get them installed. It's quite a process to do it. We have 230,000 customers, but these are some people who are really happy and show kind of the benefits of it. So, and we're up ready for questions. I don't know if there's any questions that anybody has.
Yeah, there are a few. And I'll start with the first. It deals with smart meters and flume compatibility. And I'll speak personally about this because I have a flume and I'm a big advocate of flume. I will say the granularity is not real time from what your product is. It's about by the hour. That is definitely not real time. Flume is real time. It's within a minute. So I just don't want to confuse the two things. It's leaps and bounds greater than 2 month visibility, which is what we were getting prior to these meters. But it is not real time. And so when they came over to install my particular one, I asked what they were doing because I did not get the levels of notification that you suggested that we were getting. But I was there when they were doing this, and I'm gonna share my screen because I have it's on our I just have a slide that shows kind of what my installation was, and it was a retrofit. It was not a Sonic one. And this particular one, if you look, it's different from if you look at this thing, that's not that big brass thing with a little dial, that little triangle that spins around. I didn't open up the lid on this Neptune, but it's got a huge dial that spins very, very quickly when water is on. So it's much more accurate, very clear to see. And my first comment was, wait a minute, because the guy just like put the flume on the side. He goes, oh, I left your flume in there. I'm like, well, it was just literally sitting on the side. It was not connected. I'm like, well, that's not very helpful. So I went in there and he asked, and he goes, well, you can deny it and reject it, and you can, we can take it out. And I'm like, all right, well, I just want to work with my flume. Like, I'm not saying you should take it out. I just wanted to work with my flume. And sure enough, this particular one does work with flume. And you can see it installed right here. That bottom picture right here this is my flume right here. And I had to unstrap it because there's that antenna, I guess, that goes up to the receiver on the lid. So I had to unstrap it, restrap it, and not just fold it over the top, but I had to thread it around the cable there. But it works great. So there is a solution. Now, my understanding is that the Sonic one it is not compatible with, and you cannot just put it on there because it's got a different technology on how it measures things. So in that particular case, especially if you try and force this down everybody's throat that you're going to switch over to the Sonic ones, I think you're going to get a lot of pushback. But for me personally, which I think a couple people commented on here about the smart meters and Flume, this particular installation works with Flume, and I haven't had any issues. So I just wanted to put that out there and show you what it looks like. And that's real. And that lid is, you can lift it with your finger. You don't have to get like a screwdriver out and lift that cement thing. That thing's light, easy to take out, and very straightforward. They do recommend when you put it back in, you see how this black thing on top here, that's the circuitry for the antenna, that you flip it around so that it does not hit the meter. So right now don't just turn it back the way it shows there, because it would go right on top of the flow meter in the Neptune. You rotate it 180 degrees and then close the lid, and then it's good to go. But it was quick, it was easy. Guy was super nice. But I did not have the same experience that you were describing about weeks of notice that this was coming. Suddenly, some dudes, I thought they were doing sewer maintenance. Suddenly, I see my flume's disconnected. Anyway, but good experience. Okay, so let me just continue to read some of the questions.
Look, I want to talk about the flume and the meters for a moment.
Of course.
So San Jose Water has decided that our entire meter stock will be going to ultrasonic over the course of the next 18 years. And if the meter is due for replacement, it will be an ultrasonic meter that goes in. That's just been approved by our project and regulatory. Flume is one of those devices that a lot of our customers have utilized. It is a very valuable tool. And what you mentioned, Kirk, is the minute by minute water use is actually quite powerful. But these ultrasonic meters are actually becoming more and more industry standard, and Flume is well aware of this. So as of this moment, they don't have a device that can provide this level of granularity of water use, but I know they are working on it. If anyone is interested in the Flume device, then and we have to put a new meter in, because we actually have to change our meters for a 3/4 inch meter, which is most residential meters. We have to change those out every 20 years. We can't leave them in the ground longer than that, because the mechanical, the inside of the positive displacement discs, they just kind of wear out and they slow down. So we have to, per regulatory requirements, replace these meters every 20. And through this project, we're kind of doing that. And then over the course of the next 16-ish years, all of our meters will become these ultrasonic meters. Now we've had some customers that get the Flume meter or get the ultrasonic meter in, and they want the Flume. One of the stopgap measures that somebody can put in before Flume comes out with a device that will allow for a measurement on the ultrasonics is they can easily put in their own positive displacement meter right beyond ours. We've had a few people do just that, or put a flume device on another meter kind of near their house, just so that they could have that positive displacement meter on themselves, on their own plumbing system, and monitor it that way. But the whole industry's in the process of updating its meter technology to these ultrasonic or magnetic meters, for that matter. It's kind of one or the other. But that's kind of just where we are right now. But even if you opt out and your meter's due to be replaced, it'll be replaced with the Mach 10. I'm sorry.
Right. No,
I can't. I wish I could give you better news. It just is what it is.
Appreciate the explanation, but when this came up at our last meeting, it was stated that it's not compatible with Flume, and I think that's what they were getting at, is the ultrasonics are not compatible with Flume. Whereas the Neptune one, which I guess they had to swap something out, but not, did they just replace the head only? Is that?
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. So the internal measuring components are actually in the brass meter of these positive displacement meters, the discs basically. And the register, it's like the car odometer of the meter, that just can be replaced, and you can put another one on. And that's what we're doing. If our existing positive displacement meters have life left in them, then we're leaving those in the ground because we invested in those, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So we're just putting a new register on them. And I'd say about a quarter of our total meters are being exchanged to Flumes right now during this project. And that means 3/4 of the meters are just being kind of left with just a new register on them, like yours. Yours, you're part of the 3/4 group, if you will.
Yeah. You have a very upset person on this, and from what I can see, other people on this call. So let me just continue down the list here. Does this mean that in the future we'll be charged for water the way PG&E charges? Higher rates during times of day, like time of use. Is this something that is hackable? And would that be open for shutting down our water? Maybe I'm just paranoid.
I love that question, by the way, and I appreciate you asking that. Right now, we have no plans of charging different time of use water rates. Water is produced differently than power. That's just the easiest way to put it. Being somebody who is in many internal meetings, that has not come up at all at this point. Not saying it won't in the future, but as of right now, not even on our radar. Hackable? No. When we kind of get back to that cybersecurity, we work with certain vendors to develop this system. They have cybersecurity platforms. They also have cybersecurity insurance. This is something that we have to be very careful with. So, we do take this very seriously. I'm not saying it's completely unhackable, but right now it's very secure, and we continue to work with all of our vendors very closely and monitor our system very closely. Great question, by the way.
Okay. Another one is, I was told Santa Clara County is only allowing outside watering 1 day a week. Is that true?
All right. Coming from the person who actually writes the drought rules, as of right now, you are allowed, because we are not in any stage of drought. Technically, we're in stage 1 drought right now, and that is from Valley Water, our wholesaler. They are always in a perpetual state of water use efficiency, is how I like to put it. Right now, under these current standards, you're allowed to water every day if you wish. We do have water use rules saying you're not allowed to water between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. unless you're running your system for evaluation purposes or establishing new turf grass or something like that. But if you really wanted to, you could water every day. Personally, somebody who's been in the landscape industry for over 20 years, turf grass doesn't really need water more than 3 days a week. If you are interested in having a free water use efficiency inspection of your landscape, we do offer those free of charge. Just call our customer service, and we'll set you up with a tailored irrigation system. All right, tailored irrigation schedule. Oh, Kirk, you're on.
You're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry. There are a couple of, thank you. I said thank you for that. There are a couple of links in the chat right now to the smart meters from San Jose Water. One of the questions I was asked, can I request to install a Flume compatible one? I guess the register one. Will they swap out a new one for a Flume compatible one? Will they install a second older meter? Basically, how can I make sure my Flume still stays functional? Can that be done?
Unfortunately, no. All of our new meters being installed in the ground right now are all going to be ultrasonic going forward. Large meters included.
If you're on that list, if your meter
Yes.
is expiring, if it's not, then it'll automatically be just upgraded to the new odometer or whatever.
You got it. You got it. So if your meter's not due for a new meter between now and 2030, the existing meter will be in the ground just with a newer register so that the antenna can plug into it. But as we go back into our annual meter change program in 2030, every year from 2030 until as crazy as this sounds, 2045, we're going to be slowly changing out the rest of our meters. You can imagine a meter changed in 2024. Those were all PD meters, positive displacement meters. So it'll be 2044 by the time those actually come out.
So, is there any way to look up if when you are on the list for this change? Do we know? Is there any way to check on our bill, like some kind of hidden number in the account or something like that?
That's a great.
If you go to the smart meter page, sorry, Kurt, you can actually, there's a lookup where you can put your address in. So that's what we recommend. I don't know if it's way far out, it might be within like a 3-month period or something, but there is a lookup on the page that I linked to, the smart meter page.
Yep.
Gotcha. And so those two links, that just looks out over the next 3 months. So if it's scheduled for a year out, you're not going to show up on that list.
Correct.
It doesn't say when it was installed.
Probably not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you water turf properly, the trees are getting enough water. If you water the turf properly, the trees are getting enough water too. I guess that's a question.
That's a good statement.
Okay.
That is true in most cases.
Okay.
It really depends on tree species when it comes to watering them, but yeah, if you do water turf properly, and that is 2 to 3 days a week with multiple starts and stops in a given day, that will allow your trees around your property to survive.
That was from Sarah. That was she just spoke before you guys.
Yeah, I know. That's not, I love the comment. Not so much a question, more of a comment.
Comment. Okay, I now I see who said it. I think that's it. Do you have any visibility on the granularity that these ones that you're putting in with the hydro or the sonic meters? How are they on track to get more granular like Flume? So Flume is no longer going to be necessary, or is the 1 hour target really that's good enough, and they're not going to try and improve that?
That's another great question. Right now, we are at the level of the 1 hour granularity, because these meters are, they basically send a signal. They send 6 signals a day. Basically, it's sending 6 signals to say what your hourly water use intervals are. If it's in if it's in like boost mode, it's 5 signals. But right now it is only doing the hours. I'm not saying that the technology, and this is all programming by the company Census, basically. So I'm not saying what we can expect in the future. Just as of right now, it's the 1 hour at this point.
Got it. And do these need batteries like the Flume does, or is it hydro charged through the water?
That's a good. That's another good question. They're actually nickel lithium batteries. They have warranties that should be carrying them through 20 years. But of course, if the smart point or the meter go out, we actually get alerts, low battery alerts on both of them. And then we go out and replace the meter, of no charge to you guys.
When they replace these meters, that shuts off our water for a bit?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So if we have to do any meter change for any reason, we do have to turn the water off. In fact, the lower photo on this slide right here, it looks like a couple ears on the right. Yep, right there. That's what we call an angle stop. So when you see the ears separated like that and that little bar in line, that means water's on. If you turn the ears and they line up, that means water's off. So in order to change this meter, you turn that 90 degrees basically, and then turn off. We require the Concord team and internal employees when they change meters to actually turn the house valve off if possible, so that the water inside the house doesn't drain all the way back into the meter box and introduce a lot of air. We really try and limit the amount of air that we introduce when we do this. Meter change takes anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, depending on if there's a bunch of roots or dirt. And once we have the new meter in, turn it back on, and then we open up the hose bib nearest the house so that we can bleed out that water or that air, so that, again, trying to limit the amount of air into your system. If you do experience any air in your water system after we change the meter, then just go to your furthest faucet, typically, turn that water on, you'll hear some sputtering, and then the water will just flow freely. And then that's really all you have to do.
And Art, just when they did mine, I did not have any water turn off because I don't think they didn't change my meter. They just changed basically the head on the meter.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so the retrofits, which sounds like about 3/4 of them are retrofits right now, do not require any downtime to the house and is fairly benign. And they work with Flume, so all good.
Yeah.
And I guess if you do get that turn off, it would be nice if they left some kind of leaflet on. I mean, you probably do on how to make sure you turn your water on safely so you don't burst a pipe when you do it with that pressure, because that's the most dangerous that I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions in the thing.
Yeah, I got one more.
Oh, you one more. Okay.
Yeah. So when we get the new ultrasonic meter, does it can we download an app on our phone and it would just ping us on our phone and say, hey, we detect a leak? Is that how that works?
So SJ Water Hub is web-based. So as long as you have a web-based browser on your phone, you can access our hub basically and set alerts and get those alerts sent to your email and such.
Okay. All right.
They want to know about the website. I don't know if the website, I don't think is going to tell you what kind of meter.
It will not, unfortunately.
Yeah. And not that we're trying to plug Flume, but Flume will give you real-time alerts within a minute of a threshold. So it'd be nice if Flume and you guys were able to blend.
Coordinate.
Yeah.
I have been in industry meetings with Flume representatives, and I have had very frank conversations with them, letting them know that, our 230 some odd thousand consumers will have meters that are not compatible with their product. And a lot of our customers really enjoy their product, so that if they want to continue to, be operational in our service territory, they're going to have to come up with a product that's compatible with the meter technology that we're putting in. And we're not the only water agency putting in ultrasonic meters. They're going in everywhere. So, if Flume wants to be a company still around in the next 5 years, they're going to have to adapt. And they know this. Again, I've had very frank conversations with representatives of that company.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Kurt and
Leanne.
Leanne, sorry, and Leanne. Thank you. Thank you, Art.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, that was very informative. Appreciate it. All right, so last on our list, every year we do a holiday showcase.
No, hold on. We have Rita.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were going right into our holiday showcase.
Well, she wants to talk about the holiday showcase.
Right, but before, okay.
The holiday showcase is a contest that we have during Christmas time, where we look at the decorations of the house, both the tree and the house. And Rita runs it. Rita Crawford. She's on our board and she manages the holiday showcase. So I'm going to let her take over. Plus, I got to go get I'm about to lose my battery. So I got to go power up. So I'm going to step out, but Rita, take over.
Yeah, and Rita's going to talk about two other things. She's going to talk about the reforestation project, as well as the red tip project that was referenced earlier in the meeting. So Rita, go ahead and unmute yourself and take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Well, right now, what is on your screens is the committee for the reforestation for the Cory Neighborhood Association. So just wanted to circle back to what Sarah was talking about, and we're so delighted to have Sarah part of our working group here. This committee was started by a concerned neighbor who approached the board. You see on the chart here, there's the timeline of how we established a committee. We reached out to District 6. You all heard Lynn Lee, Chief of Staff for District 6, our councilman, talk about getting Department of Transportation and the city arborist involved with this. We have a list of action items that we're working with the city, and our Sarah will now be we'll be working very closely with Sarah on these. And if anybody in the neighborhood is interested in participating with any of our activities with the reforestation of the Cory neighborhood, on our website, the Cory neighborhood website, there is a place for you to send your contact information. So if you can see all that at the bottom, if you just send your name, your phone number, and your email address, and then put somewhere in that email trees, I'll get that, and we'll add you to our activities that are coming up. So you go to the Cory Neighborhood Association web page. There's the link there. Thank you, Kurt. And on that front page, there's the email to contact@coryneighborhood.org. Thank you very much. Kurt, are you able to? There you go. Okay. To circle back to the holiday traffic and illegal parking in the Valley Fair Mall neighborhood, we decided to do a three-prong approach. So here to mitigate this issue, I've got up here the three things that we're doing. The picture is a representation of what red tips painted at the driveway apron could look like. This was just a photo, an image pulled off the web, but this gives you an idea of what the red tip project is. So again, thanks to Lynn Lee, Chief of Staff, and her associate Karina for helping getting this together. This red tip project, you can see there the streets that have been identified that could use maybe some help with this red tip. So we have Baywood, Beechwood, Clover, Daniel, Fernwood, Geneva, Homewood, and Redwood. If you believe you have a need to participate in this red tip project, please contact District 6 office. And if Lynn is still on, if she could put up the District 6 email, they've been very helpful with working with me on the issues we've had with this. The other thing Lynn Lee has helped with the District 6 office, they met with Captain Tran of the San Jose Police Department, and we had a very good presence of the police during the holiday traffic issues around the houses near Valley Fair. And certainly there were towings, citations, and patrols. And the residents were very happy to see this happen, especially the ones that had cars who were parked blocking their driveways and being towed away. The third prong that we worked with was the Valley Fair management cooperation, and as was stated, there's a change in management and haven't really received the response that the neighborhood would like. So that's something that we would definitely like to see improved. In addition, I did receive from District 6 office a request about for the Department of Transportation for what they called rectangular rapid flashing beacons. They've identified, the Department of Transportation has identified two school crosswalk locations that could be candidates for an upgrade to this type of warning system in a crosswalk. And that's one location is North Monroe Avenue and Woodland Avenue, and the other is North Monroe Street and Woodland Avenue. And the second is North Monroe Street and Kenwood Avenue. So you'll be hearing more about that. The Cory Neighborhood Association Board will be reaching out more to the neighborhood, and there'll be some added communication about that for asking for community feedback. That's what I have for the traffic and parking.
The only thing, Rita, that seems to be in conflict with this slide is they said it was an opt-out, not an opt-in.
My understanding at the time when in looking back at all my notes, that was what I was told. So Lindley and Department of Transportation, Risto would have the accurate information for that. So those were my notes, and I'm sorry if I'm misleading anyone.
No. I think it's been what you listed there is what was communicated consistently until today. That was a difference. So there may be a difference. I think it just needs some follow-up. That's all. And so hopefully Lynn can help navigate that with you.
One other point that regarding the red tips is that it did take a little while for the project to get approved, and we're right now the timeline is for February to be completed. So we should be seeing some activity, flyers, something happening in the next couple of weeks.
And just everybody should be careful when it's on there, because if the tow trucks don't know whose car it is, so if it's your car, make sure your car isn't touching the tips, or it's gonna feel the pain of the traffic people. All right, we will. Anything else on that, Rita? Any questions? I don't see any questions from anybody.
That everybody did a great job on answering or filling us in on that.
There was a comment about maybe extending this to other areas, Broadleaf Lane, because of a baseball league. Maybe Lindy, you can follow up with Rita separately on that. I don't know if that's part of the pilot.
Yeah, Lindy, I would say just contact District 6 and let them know, because that's how those streets got identified was through District 6 working with the Department of Transportation.
Lindy,
all right, we are
with that.
All right, we are going to move on to our Christmas tree. Or do you want to go into that a little bit, just to explain what it is, how it works, and I'm sure we all know about it.
Yeah. So every year, we've been doing this for at least a decade. We use a volume purchase to get cheap trees. Well, I should say inexpensive. They're not cheap. They're nice trees. And this is the team that distributes them. You have two choices. You can come by that's my house, by the way. They're all dropped off. We had about close to 90 trees this year. And they're all dropped off at my house. So you can come by my house and pick yours up, or you can pay an extra $5 and get them delivered to your house. And this is the team that delivered. And each tree is only $35. These trees, it says 5 to 7 feet. Almost all of them were over 6 feet. So really good. The person who managed it is Sinjin Johnson. And he does a great job. We send the form out to everyone, and you'll see that when you buy the tree, you send money to him, and he manages it. Just like Rita manages the holiday showcase, Sinjin manages the Christmas tree program. And this actually makes us money. It's a fundraiser so that we can give gift cards out to people and buy food.
Pay for food for our meetings. And
so if you ever need a tree, or even if you want to get people trees that are outside the neighborhood, just fill it all out. We won't deliver outside the neighborhood, but people from outside the neighborhood can buy trees.
Oops.
That's okay. Go ahead. That's next.
No, but it's not Willard Sims anymore. That was I changed everything except that. My bad. So I will just go through this. We have a presentation which I have to change. Sorry, I have to change slides.
Yeah. By the way, the holiday showcase again is a project that we do during Christmas time, and we look at people's decorated houses and people's decorated outside tree, and you can win prizes. There's 2 prizes.
All right. So the holiday showcase, we're just going to go through kind of the process. Again, Rita was the person that really drove some of the reform that happened and more methodical ways of doing things. We really appreciate she did that last year and continues to drive this process. So big shout out to Rita on the board here. And the judges are typically scattered throughout the neighborhood. There are a couple doing double duty, and then Art stepped in because we were short one judge. So thank you, Art, for doing that. But it shows you how the zones were. I don't have a map of the zones, but if you go on the Cory website, one of the old, and do a search, you can do search on like map, and it'll appear. But we divide our neighborhood into 5 zones, and then these people will go around and rate the trees and the houses. So. The goal is to have the best overall, well, it's not the goal, but what this program is we have the best overall house and the best overall tree, and that's based on those 5 judges voting for one of each of those in their neighborhood, and then they go to everybody's zones, and they all vote on each other's, and then it's kind of like ranked choice voting. You get the best overall house and best overall tree. So we're going to go through all the candidates and the results. So first up here, and what we did is we just show where they are. So if it's in your neighborhood, you'll recognize potentially the houses. These are the best houses that were highlighted for this past holiday. And we didn't have a dedicated photographer this year. Last year we did. We had a photographer that would take all the pictures so that the angles would all be the same and the colors and the perspective. So that's why some are a little crooked and some are a little straight. And it's whoever were the judges, they're the ones that actually went through and identified the pictures for you to see. And so the winner of this year's best house is the one on Boxwood. So congratulations. I don't know the names of the people, but this is the address. 233
It's Heather and Davin Jutila.
Okay, well, congratulations to them. Good job. And then so next we go on to best tree. So these are trees that are highlighted in the neighborhoods, again, by zone. And then what happens is each of the judges goes to each of the other zones that they're not in, and they go and review their trees. Again, some pictures are clearer than others. That's okay. The point is all the judges got to see these at night when they're all lit up. And so these are the 5 candidates that were in one from each of the zones. And so just a quick review of all of the trees that were highlighted. And the winner is, yay, over on Peachtree. Okay, and I don't know the name. Art, you remember who they are?
I forgot.
Sorry, folks. If you're on Peachtree, congratulations. And you got your gift card coming at you. And just as a quick reminder, we just want to thank everybody for their participation in doing this because it makes the neighborhood special and festive. And so that's a lot of fun. And so I'm gonna zip right back to just to finish off our slides on the other one. So just give me just one second. Yes,
I would like to say a couple words about the holiday showcase, please.
Of course, yeah.
So once again, the neighborhood did not disappoint. We had an overwhelming participation throughout the Cory streets with such festive decorations. And I want to know that with our 5 judges for 2025, the Holiday Showcase 2025, we had 3 returning judges and very special decorations were seen through the eyes of 3 little girls. We had 2 zones for all these little sisters. There was one 11-year-old and the 9-year-old twins. And their nominations were the most popular with all the judges. So the winning best house and the winning best tree were nominations from these little girls. Again, thank you to the judges and especially the neighborhood's participation for the 2025 holiday showcase.
Okay, thanks, Rita. And just the final slide here, or not almost final, just to tell you who's on your board and just who we are. And we meet monthly. And yeah. And then the last slide is just this is and many of you know this if you haven't signed up for being on our newsletter, this little email address down, you just go to our webpage, coryneighborhood.org. And then you can enter your email here and you'll get on to, so anytime we have an announcement or an upcoming meeting or something in the neighborhood, you will get an email. We don't send a lot, but we do send some. And this is where you go. Just go to Cory Neighborhood Association's website at coryneighborhood.org.
All right. And with that, I believe we're done. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it. Again, I'm going to try to get the cafeteria for the April meeting, and fingers crossed. All right.
And we'll have food for you.
If we can get the cafeteria.
If we get the cafeteria. Otherwise, enjoy your dinner.
All right. Everyone be safe out there and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.